now it says going live.
Well, hey there.
No, now it says we're live. Now you can say it.
Says we are. So hey there, Stuart.
Hey there.
I haven't seen you in so long. Live anyway to the internet. Not since Friday. It is now Tuesday. Whoa.
Whoa. Wow, my camera's all.
When was the last time they saw your live face?
My live face would be the same last time I saw your live face.
Did you miss us? Ladies,
no, they didn't.
Gentlemen, aliens, and anything in between.
Assorted others.
And the category other, yes. I mean, what is the great koala in the sky? Is it a man, woman, or alien? I mean, if it's a thing that created the universe, I mean, I think others found.
Definitely an alien. Definitely an alien.
But what if it is the only true life form in the entire galaxy, and we're all aliens to it? Doesn't matter. Hello, Stuart.
Hello.
Would you like to today pimp out today's earlier release? I normally do it. Pimp out the well, in fact, if you can, pimp out the releases of the last couple of videos of this week to make sure people go back and look at edited content.
What did you release today? The title sequence?
Go have a look, Stuart. Go on to Trekyards. No,
but
YouTube/Trekyards.
I don't like to look at Trekyard stuff.
Right. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's the title sequence. I was right. Don't tell me I wasn't right.
I didn't say you were right. I said have a look. I said go look.
Go, guys. Check out our earlier release today. Star Trek Discovery Season 3 title sequence. What's new? What's old? What can it teach us? Who knows? Go watch and find out.
What about Saturday's video?
I don't know what Saturday's video is. Do I know? Because it's not
Craft's video. Craftship's video. No, that's the wrong guy. Wow, Freudian slip there. I just made
Bookship. Didn't we release that already?
Yes, on Saturday.
Oh, you mean? I thought you were talking about this upcoming Saturday because I have no idea.
No, I'm saying pimp out the videos we just made, Stuart. Just release. Everyone knows to go back and click on them.
Go watch Bookship. First look, the 3188 ship. The Millennium Falcon of Star Trek. Go watch it. It's worth it.
Bobby Bear Alpha said he didn't miss us one little bit. He just watched our last video. So
good man. You know, I'm looking at the videos here, and I'm surprised that the No More Federation in 3188 video has more views than Bookship.
Has it?
When we are Trekyards. They're a chip channel.
Oh, that's true.
Damn.
Yeah. Well, to be fair though, that thumbnail was really difficult for Bookship because there's nothing good, as in like there's no good still. So I mean, it looks like a flip knife in a book. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I can imagine people aren't like clamoring to watch it as much whereas if I had a really clean like Trekyards render. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I hear you.
And do go back and watch our reviews of the episode. I think they're really interesting. Actually, I think we had some good points. I think it's definitely an episode that you mull it over a bit more on. Not that it's complex. You just have to sort of work out how you feel, because it is a different universe, really. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the differences, the similarities, and the bits? But Stuart, today we are going to be discussing and asking and commenting on the question of: is this future, the 3188, I believe, is it a dystopian future? You know, has everything fallen apart? Has it not? What vibes do we get from the last episode? And how does it compare to what we thought it may be?
Well, I mean, I imagine for anyone in the Federation or in Starfleet, it might seem dystopian, considering the Federation is now not a presence really anymore. I can see it being dystopian from a certain point of view for certain people, not necessarily for everybody. And I'm pretty sure at some point they actually go back to Earth with Discovery.
I'm excited for.
And yeah, so I mean, it seemed like a big deal that they were there. So then again, that's a trailer or a preview, so they can make it seem like whatever they want to.
And it was just a blue-green planet. It's not like we saw.
Yes.
Look, there's the American landmark, a landmass of Hostel. But I'm going to start sharing. Yes. Kind of pre-chat, but yes, talk to the audience, and I'll see you guys in a moment.
I'll do that. I can keep them company. That's my job. So, guys, if you want to super chat your thoughts on this one, please do so. We're going to be talking about the whole future. Well, the future of the Federation, at least, being, is it dystopian? What kind of vibe did you get from the episode, and what can we expect from season 3 in that regard? So put your thoughts, comments in the super chat. They will be read out loud on the air, I guess, if you want to call it that, for everyone to hear. So it's a great way to support the channel as well. You can also join the channel at the rank of commander, captain, or admiral. That helps us on a monthly basis, much like Patreon, which, speaking of, Patreon/Trekyards is another way to help us out. Or you can just head on over to, there's links down below and links in the description of every video. A lot of cool things down there. Our Teespring store, our Eagle Moss savings, a whole bunch of great stuff. And you guys can be a part of that just by clicking those links. But if you do want to have your voice heard, your question answered, us to address your comments or engage in speculation and have a discussion about your thoughts, please feel free to super chat. You can also PayPal. The PayPal information is trekyards@hotmail.com. That is all in the description of the video as well. And just let us know that it's sent to PayPal. We will read your comment or question via the email and get you included that way. So also another great way to help us out, hit like. We have 68 people watching with 37 likes. We can easily hit 45 likes with that many people. We can hit 60 likes, but if you haven't hit like yet, please consider hitting that thumbs up. If it is not blue, you did not do, as the saying goes. So, yeah. Let's see, other great ways to help us. Just supporting the channel by sharing the videos around, sharing them with anybody you think would be interested in learning about Trekyards or hearing our thoughts, conversations. We certainly like having these discussions and including you guys. And if you guys can share that around, it'll definitely get the Trekyards name out there. So 76 people watching with 44 likes. That's good. We're almost at our 45 like goal that I set for you guys. But I'm upping that now to at least 60. We can hit 60 likes easily. We did hit the 45 that I asked for. So thank you guys. Good. Keep it up. Keep it up.
All them likes. All them likes.
And Jeff just, nullified this whole conversation. He said not enough info yet to make the call on whether it's dystopian or not. So thank you very much, Jeff. Everyone, have yourselves a great night. This has been a fun discussion.
Of course.
And
we'll see you tomorrow.
Yep. Bye, guys. Oh.
Is that what it is?
I should actually hit end stream.
No. I think we were joking. Yeah. No, I mean, let's start at the beginning then. So when we watched this episode, did you get any of the simple answer? Any of this vibe at all, or is this more a thing I got? The kind of dystopian-esque, or at least on a spectrum of dystopia.
I totally got that vibe from the very beginning because of the debris, the crap in the orbit of this planet, which is supposedly a pretty important stop for couriers and trade and stuff like that. So the fact that there's still junk in orbit of this planet, which you'd think they would have cleared out by now because ships are always coming in. It's a dangerous thing to have in orbit. So that compiled with the junk floating around the relay station, there's just it looks like a visual cluttered mess, and I think that's the point. And then we get the kind of ragtag assortment of seedy people down at the mercantile.
Although, I mean, how seedy is seedy? I mean, could they not just be, traders that try to make a living?
Well, absolutely, and it depends on your point of view, I guess. But I mean, for us, being the audience looking in, I mean, this is not the Starfleet, the Federation that we're used to. Just to see all the visual clutter on screen, both in space and down on the planet, just it makes you feel kind of uneasy. And I think it sets that tone that yes, it's kind of a dystopian kind of feel to it. So
and obviously part of it has got to be that the Andorians quite a famous race, and so if they've joined, if they're no longer part of the whole, then is there even a whole? Because remember, the founding races are humans, Andorians, Tellarites, Vulcans. That's one of the first four. They've been there since the very beginning. and if they are now working with the Orions. Although that said, obviously, disclaimer, those Andorians.
Yes.
I mean, there's nothing to say all Andorians. There's no proof whatsoever. It's just those Andorians working with those Orions at this port. That's all you can take from that.
Yes.
But, they didn't seem that happy.
Well, she even brings up that point of Andorians working with Orions.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean the Andorian government is working officially with the Orions. So yeah. Jeff Jacobs though puts in 257, 57 and under 15. Sweet. Next or 100 next. Hashtag blew it to do it. Hashtag make Jeff pay.
We do want those likes. They're important. They really are.
We're at 60 now, which is really good. But we have 83 people. We can hit 75 likes. So hit like if you haven't already, guys.
And this is a conversation with you guys. So put in your thoughts down below. Super chat or not, we'll read them out and have a conversation as we're just kind of like forming these things. Because obviously, with only so much time in our main reviews or our small reviews where we can discuss this stuff, this is a far more like, let's see where we go with it discussion. Because then, so I think this is an interesting thing about the evolution of the episode. Very on purpose, and you're right. It sets up a certain way. Book and his ship, he is not disheveled, but he also is not professional looking.
Well, I mean, his attire maybe doesn't appear professional looking, but I was surprised by the interior of the ship, how clean it was, how nice it was.
Yes, that's the thing.
And you wouldn't expect that, especially considering it's basically the analog for the Millennium Falcon. Same kind of size ship, same purpose.
But sci-fi.
Even the cockpit's on the same side. But the Millennium Falcon's more of a dirty, used ship. I mean, his seemed immaculate, and I was actually very surprised by that.
The Trek future is all about self-cleaning, biofilters and air filters. Whereas Millennium Falcon, no, you manually clean that shit. You want that ink, that grease stain out, you're cleaning. And so Han's like, nah. But the way the wood of his living. I mean, if you just took that living space, you'd be like, oh, that's a nice New York apartment with a bit of a snazzy twist.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, obviously, this is the future where replicators are a thing. So as with Raffi, or the opposite to Raffi should have been, need is less of a thing, and as long as you have power, you have replicators. So if you've got the basics, then he shouldn't need to be unshaved. He shouldn't need to look disheveled. But doesn't mean you can necessarily go to a destination. Like the work element can be dystopian in the sense of he's being, handed only what he needs, and he can't do much around that. That's somewhat, if it's the most basic means of travel, he's on a leash, as it were. That said, he had a recrystallizer until he didn't, so he obviously could go beyond that. So maybe he was out of the system, because especially if he's not a courier, he stole a courier.
He stole
a cargo.
Someone's cargo, yeah.
So, because the way it plays out, you assume he's a courier, and he is in the sense that he can access the station, but he stole a dude's cargo to take it to a planet, and there's no hint that they're rewarding him with money. So, I think it more implies that he could either recrystallize, or could anyway, or give him fuel from other people to do good work.
Yeah.
But then that got messed up, and then he had to go back into the system to do more by the book. By selling shit. But that's an interesting way they give you that vibe throughout it evolves.
Yeah. Squadricor's $2, been sick, not COVID, but it can't stop the super chats. Well, thank you very much, Squadricor's. Hope you're feeling better soon.
Yeah. Is it bad ill or just a little bit ill? Hopefully gone by the weekend.
Probably just under the weather, hopefully. Yeah. No, I got the feeling like he even said, he kind of lays out how this whole thing works as a courier. You go in there, you get your assignment, it gets signed off by the Orion, they give you the crystals you need to complete it, and then you come back for payment, you get more crystals to do the next thing. And he goes, sometimes you get to do your own side thing. In this case, your tricorder. So this is like his side thing to get more crystals to finish the thing he's doing on the side, which is stealing somebody else's cargo. Which is the slug thing, the transworm, to get it to the planet Sanctuary 4 so it can breed on time. It doesn't seem like it was one of the official things that he was doing, official, for the Orions or whatever. It seemed like its own thing, and Burnham really put a wrinkle in his plan by crashing into him. So, yeah. That's kind of the vibe that I got there. That because he did say, every now and then you get to make a deal for your your own deal for your own thing. In this case, it's your tricorder.
But would you? I that all makes sense to me. But do you not think that if he's saving the animal, implying other good jobs, would there not be an organization? Like, would the people on the planet not want to reward him? I mean, was he so nice that he's using his little bit of excess dilithium to help people, and then he goes back to the salt mine of the manual cargo of having to do with the couriering? Because like, was that sense he wasn't a courier really? Like he was at one point, but he kind of isn't.
Well, I mean, it's probably one of those situations where those people that are doing good don't have really much to give him, to offer him, except for the satisfaction of doing a good job and saving the species.
Fresh food as well.
Yeah, and it's someplace safe to stay, because this was Sanctuary 4, and Sanctuary means somewhere safe. I assume there's a bunch of these scattered around that might not be known to,
poachers. I mean, at the very least, poachers.
Yeah, poachers for sure, or like the local constabulary, if you will, that might be cruising around. So yeah, safe place to eat, to sleep, to live for a little while if you need to.
Do you think maybe that their gift to him or someone similar was the dilithium recrystallar, which changed how he lived his life, and now he's having to go back to the original way? Having to go back to now, and that's part of the plot, is that I was doing well. I worked so many years to get a bit of self-sufficiency, and now I've got to actually sell shit to get dilithium. You've brought me down. Because you would think if everyone had the dilithium recrystallar, you wouldn't need to get it as much.
That's the thing that confuses me, because sure, dilithium, most of it was destroyed in the burn. It's very, very a rare commodity now, but with the recrystallizer, is there limitations on what kind of dilithium it can make, or how good the quality is, or does it need a base little piece of dilithium to work off of to create more dilithium?
Well, I don't think I don't think it creates. I think it's like the Enterprise. I think it's like Enterprise D, where it's inside of the chamber. It uses the power of it uses the power generated to then re-stabilize the dilithium as it goes. So it's more, once you have some, you can keep restoring it to a useful state. That's what I thought recrystallar was, because that's like in Star Trek, the whale one. The crystals are mostly there's shards, but not enough to get them going, and they use the nuclear stuff to recrystallize it into something useful. So it's more a case of keeping it going rather than getting new stuff.
And that's fine for TNG and that era, but I mean, you're still talking, the burn happened 810 years in the future from Discovery. That's a long time. Technology advances. They think they'd be able to make purely synthetic dilithium at that point, which can do the exact same job.
I mean, maybe they did, and maybe that was the thing that caused the burn. Maybe they created something fake and it destabilized everything else. I mean, something as simple as that, it took them that long. Because I mean, once you make that, well, we know it's not the power source. If you give dilithium to a race, any race, they'll get warp drive eventually, or elemental power eventually. Like, it's a way of generating very efficiently, especially, as I'm sure, just like with, spicy hot peppers, you crossbreed and make more powerful ones. We know they do find, Voyager brings back a more powerful source of dilithium, literally a more powerful variant they found in an asteroid field. That's a storyline. That's how they make transwarp work, etc. So, yeah, they might be just creating better and better, more refined dilithium, etc. And then it goes horribly wrong. But you're right. I mean, if it's that far in the future, why isn't a recrystallar real easy? Because he says it as if, you idiot, I broke it. Although I guess it could just be, I have to find one, not that hard to find. Just if I can't go to warp, I can't find a new one. I don't know.
It surprises me that there's still the differentiation between a recrystallizer and why not just have a replicator that can do it at this point? Because it's so far in the future, you think eventually it would just be replicatable material. Replicate some dilithium, there it is.
But isn't there just a hard limit on what you can replicate? Like, it's so complex.
I would imagine so.
It's like warp 10. There's actually a barrier to the warp 10. As there are some things that are hard barriers to. Obviously, you could then design a new matter creation device. I mean, I would call dilithium slightly more of organic material. So you could maybe like an organic thing that reorganizes the molecular structure of something, rather than So it's more of a molecularizer, which could be interesting. Although, like we've said, why is dilithium still that important. I would have expected all Federation starships beyond the mid-grade to have multiple sources of propulsion, absolutely enough fusion power to get them at minimal warps. I mean, are you kidding? 800 years worth of power. I mean, again, like I said to you previously, do you really think the relativity, 29th century, is being powered by dilithium, its temporal drives? Do you really think it needs those to go to warp? Do you really think it can't go to warp like 7 with just normal power generation? Do you really think?
You'd think no.
Not remotely.
And again, to clarify, that thing would have the standard warp drive as well as the temporal, to be able to go through time.
Slipstream, probably.
Yeah, and again, like the lithium, for everybody out there that might be confused, the lithium is not a power source. It focuses the reaction within the chamber, just refines warp and allows access to higher warps. So James McGill, though, throws in $5. At least in the future, it's harder to violate the canon as we know it. Season 3, Episode 1 title matches what I feel for Discovery. I am hopeful. As are we. I mean, we've gone into each season saying that, cautiously optimistic, don't you know? But yeah, I mean, this is definitely a step in the right direction as far as taking us out of the regular things we can complain about, I guess, because canon isn't really established at this point. That being said, if we see Discovery ships in flashback for the burn that happened 120 years prior to where we are now, I'll be calling bullshit right away, because there's no reason that we should be seeing Discovery ships that far in the future.
800-year-old old freighter ain't working. Sorry, we're not using cars from 1810.
Well, I mean, you see one or two driving around, maybe. Collector has one, but yeah. And that's only like 100 years in the past. So
I mean, I think there is no equivalency. Like, I mean, you go back to like a sword from 200 BC. Fine, but those still work 100% effectively in respect to,
Yeah.
And they're not warp dimensioning space travel machines. It's tricky.
Well, we've already seen the evolution of ships from TOS all the way to TNG. That a short amount of time, the differences are astounding.
Well, yeah, the warp barrier changes 3 times pretty much.
Yeah.
If you include slipstream and transwarp, like the knowledge of how fast someone can go. I mean, the entire idea of the transwarp network of the Borg cubes can go from the Alpha to the Delta Quadrant in minutes. That's well beyond what TOS thought they could do, except that one time when they went to warp like 32. Apart from that one time, it's faster than ever. Although before we get to the super chat, someone brought up, though, in reference to Book's ship, specifically about how it's good it doesn't look like Star Trek or Starfleet. That's a strength, which is arguable, although there are lines of that saying we'll never be happy. But they said, well, we've seen starships in the 29th century, which is not far from this, Relativity and Aeon, and then he said they don't look like Star Trek or Federation at all, or Starfleet. What are your thoughts on that, the Aeon and Relativity, which are the furthest ships we see in the timeline?
Well, first of all, there's still Federation, there's still Starfleet. So
but they don't look it, thinks this person.
But they do. It's the natural evolution of the way ships have been being designed over the years. You can see visual tie-ins to ships of the past. I have no problem with Book's ship looking different, because it is so far in the future, and it's not a Starfleet vessel. It's not a Federation vessel necessarily. It's a Carillion freighter. He's from a different planet, and he acquired it somewhere else. It's fine. So I will disagree, though, that I think the relativity, if you look at from TOS the saucer to TNG the oval saucer shape to
Voyager.
Rick's arrowhead, going from Voyager more rounded to the Prometheus more pointed, you follow that lineage, you kind of get something that would resemble the relativity, and especially interior wise, it definitely feels like Starfleet still. So I really disagree with that argument. So
and the arrowhead nature of it gives you a certain vibe that is paralleled in other things. But the fact that it still has those red blue glows, the fact that you can still see visible phaser strips, RCA thrusters, like there are elements of technology which are still prevalent, even if they might be slightly different functional wise. Now the Aeon is obviously a bit of a weird one. It's a little time fighter. You wouldn't say it like Star Trek per se, beyond the fact that there's pinstriping, deflector. Like you can still call out where the warp drive is, where the impulse drive, like you can still actually call out all these individual things. But obviously it's a shuttle. I don't think the Argo looks like necessarily a Star Trek shuttle because it's a specialist shuttle, etc. I think most of it is actually pretty good as an evolution. Like you said, you had a great argument there. Not to say that how do you go from that into the Discovery Season 3 era, just making more and more curvy, pointy things. I think we'd find that quite annoying. And there are several fan designs that are just like big, curvy ovals. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
No, let's not do that.
Well, Squadron Corsair was in $2. Why couldn't they just replicate the dilithium? I would assume because it's too complex. I mean, Jeff says it there. I think certain things are too complex to have the wrong atomic number to recreate. And I would totally buy that. But it's like a diamond. You can create an artificial diamond that's essentially exactly the same material. It's just artificially created, therefore man-made, therefore not real, therefore not worth as much because it's not as rare. But it still has the same properties as a regular diamond. Sure, it might not be as clear, it might not be as brilliant, have the light refracting properties of an actual one, but it's close. And once technology advances far enough, you won't be able to differentiate between a fake one and a real one. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the diamond's interesting because it's such a simple thing to create it as a process. It's like, can we create gold from nothing? Isn't gold...
Not yet.
Exactly. So you can't just, if I said make gold in a lab today, you'd be like, I can't. Make diamond in a lab, we actually can because it's a simpler process. So some materials, like, they're not replicatable. I mean, I think that's a fine thing. Let's not make God things where we can just tell a computer, beep, beep, oh, I've now got, unlimited fuel. How do I power this thing? Deuterium. Beep, beep, here's deuterium in a canister. Great. Pop you in. Hey, we're being fuel for the next 7 months. What's the point of that? It's good to have limitations, and if it's the most powerful pieces of tech in the galaxy, then it's good not to have God technology. And given that Star Trek is already hundreds of years in the future, and like I said, look how much advanced in 20 years. If they couldn't do it 300 years from having dilithium, I mean, maybe it's just super amazing to, we don't need it. If there are limitations, hard limitations in reality, I'm fine with that. I mean, like you said, maybe man-made dilithium or dilithium X, which is like half as stable, half as powerful. It's got maybe it's like technically got the same chemical structure, but it just can't. It can't be as complex crystallinically.
It burns out faster or something. Yeah.
So you can make it, but it's just not as good, and it's also like you can make those fun. Well, that's why I said it'd be kind of fun if people did that. One side did develop artificial dilithium, and they introduced it into a planet to populate it with, because you just want to grow dilithium for whatever reason. So it took a planet, made it unstable, that then blew up, and then it caused like ripples through subspace, which then hit other dilithium deposits, which then destabilize. It's super simple tech thing. Could be really fun. It's actually kind of fun to have the galaxy implode because some scientist had a really good idea and it went really bad. That's a good message of let's be really careful with tech, I mean, what do you think?
Speaking of a good idea.
Okay.
120 viewers,
yes.
87 likes. We can hit 100 likes easily, guys. Hit that like button.
Yeah.
Ace 2000 puts in $5.
Thank you.
How fast was Ephraim Cochrane's warp? I don't think they had he had dilithium. What warp speed do you need dilithium? See, yeah, he didn't have dilithium, and he was using like a nuclear fission reactor to power this thing. And you can hit at least warp 1, maybe warp 2.
I think it's like warp 1.5. I think I don't think you can cross the 2.
Yeah, I would say 2, 3 at the very most. Not for a nuclear ship like Ephraim Cochrane's, but for another species, maybe could achieve low warp of like 3 or under without needing the refinement process of dilithium crystals.
You mean of a more advanced, like a TNG race with a lot of power?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I thought I meant for Cochrane. Yeah.
But no, for those higher like warp 8, warp 9, you need that dilithium in there. That's why I think even though Romulans use a quantum singularity drive to power their warp reaction,
and their entire ship, like whole ship,
doesn't mean that they don't need dilithium still to refine that warp bubble creator plasma thingy. Just saying, I think a lot of people are calling out, well, the Romulans will be fine because they don't use dilithium to power. Nobody uses dilithium to power their warp reaction. It's just a refinement method. So, yeah, I would say low warp would definitely be. And was that from Cochrane's warp 1.5, maybe warp 2 pushing it, but
then I think it's more about then it's not the power you can generate to create the warp bubble. It's about how much power you can then divert into your rest of your ship, because you've got to have a lot of structural integrity to do that. I mean, that bubble's got to be so stable, because if you remember, a very similar warp test ship, they were doing 3 or 4, and the thing was starting to fall apart because they can't keep it stable, and that was with vague Vulcan assistance, etc. Many years of development. But I mentioned, I'd love to hear Rick or Doug say, ask them, well, if Voyager, good example, or the Enterprise E put all of their power into the warp engines, how much warp power could they get out of them? Just with all the because there's a lot of fusion generators on those ships, especially the E.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'd expect a lot of power. Obviously, the exponential value of warp means, yes, warp 1 is nothing compared to warp 3, is nothing compared to warp 7. But yeah, I mean, could you achieve warp 2.5, 3, fully stable? I mean, they got a lot of power.
Yeah, the NX-01 did use dilithium, I believe.
Yeah. Well, they found it in asteroid belt like very quickly after Cochrane, because they went out and found stuff.
Yeah.
They found it straight away. I think the Vulcans told them what they need to find as well. Like, they helped them in how, like, what they need to find, not necessarily how.
Squadra course throws in $2. IIRC. What does IIRC mean? Anyway, did you find it? 'Cause I don't know what it means.
If I recall correctly.
Oh,
I've seen it before.
If I recall correctly, I know. If I recall correctly, you can't beam antimatter. Maybe similar issue. You can, as long as it's within a magnetic containment field. So,
but then you're beaming the containment field.
Yes.
You're beaming the thing it's in, not the thing itself.
Yeah. Anyway.
Which is not a small clarification, but if it's in a thing, then you can.
Yeah.
It's like, could you beam an alien who can't be beamed if they're inside a ship? Well, yeah. Because you're beaming the ship.
That's torpedo tube. Yeah.
Yeah. You're beaming the ship.
It's an interesting point, though. I don't even know if you can do that. Anyway.
Because otherwise they'd just be dead in the space. They would be rather dead.
Yeah, so it could be that it's a similar kind of thing where, we can create artificial stuff. It's just not quite as reliable or used in the same way.
And actually, that may literally be what happened. Every bit of dilithium may have gone boom, and then those that had enough tech in their repositories still to build stuff, they started building artificial dilithium, and they're the ones that are now the gun runners, the control of the entire society. And that's, because that'd be dark as all shit. Although you could, it totally depends on who. If this entire event was intentional or not. But if one race said, hey, Stuart, how do we cripple the galaxy? We'll kill dilithium. And we've already worked out a way of making man-made dilithium. Talk about you now own the galaxy, Boom.
Ace 2000, $2. Somebody call the Traveler. Yes, he could answer our questions. Voice of Geekdom. I wonder if the Discovery will still have its magic mushroom drive of this season. I'm sure it will, actually. We see Stamets at one point putting his hands into like a green goo, like a interface, like a futuristic interface. Yeah. So instead of getting injected into his arms.
Well, we do see it. Spore drive once in one trailer, I believe once in another trailer. Like we said in the previous review, that's going to be essential. You don't need dilithium to spore drive. Yeah. Although I do hope that they'll say we can't. And I said for season 2, and they didn't do it. They didn't spore very much in season 2, so luckily it wasn't as much of an issue because its spore is overpowered. But hopefully they'll say we're scanning the mycelial network and there's no spores in the galaxy in this time. So all we have is 18 canisters, good for 1 jump each. That would be so good. Yeah. They've got the dilithium, great. That makes them the target, but they've got 13 instant jumps away, and the further you go, or I don't know if it's actually the further you go, the more you use. I don't remember if that was a concept. I think it was 2 points linked. It's irrelevant how much you have to use an amount. There isn't like
So it's like a ticking clock. You only have so many jumps.
Yeah, which would be fun. Ticking clock. Yeah, just make sure that you kept track of how many, unlike the red signals where they had to suddenly we had to invent 2 at the end because we didn't quite retcon them properly. Yeah.
And Colin Barrett, very strange. YouTube says, I am not subscribed to Trekyards. Just had to resubscribe. That happens a lot. People get unsubscribed to channels. I've noticed that myself with channels I was subscribed to. It's really irritating. So yes, make sure everybody check now that you're subscribed to Trekyards. And if you can, there's a join button right beside that. Click the join button as well. Helps us out. And we have 98 likes with 132 people here.
Getting there.
We can easily hit 100. That's 2 people. We can hit 115 in my opinion. So if you haven't hit that like. Let's get those numbers up. Yeah. Help us out, guys. Marvin R. Worst possible cause. Q wanted to test humans, so he deleted most dilithium to destroy their perfect little civilization. See, that's the other thing. Not all dilithium went boom. They made a point of saying that. So are you? I don't know if we're not really talking about the dystopian thing so much, but
well, I mean, the society revolves around how they do or don't have. If, like I say, if a mob boss species is you want my dilithium, you do what I say. Here is a little bit. You know.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if it was the Zindi, like they got destroyed by, all these things, and it's now the insectoids and the aquatics and arboreals, they control the galaxy. It's like, really? You went Zindi. And they'll bring back Degra for some reason. It's Degra's great-great-great-great-grandson. Degra. After his great-great-grand.
Yeah. Ooh, Tangerine Star 26. Hi, guys. Sorry for not checking in for so long. I've been abroad with work. Loads to watch. Great stuff. Well, thank you. Good to see you. We definitely recognize the name. You've definitely been around.
I hope you're doing well.
Didn't even realize you were missing.
Welcome back, though, and hopefully, you're probably one of the few people in the entire world that's done lots of international travel. So, hey, fun stuff. Now, one thing I want to... you haven't seen Firefly, if I recall?
I've seen parts of it. I haven't seen all of it, no.
One of the interesting things of the Firefly universe is that it only takes place in one solar system, even though the feel of it is a grand scope, because the inner worlds were terraformed first, all the best tech, all the best people, as in like the best scientists, all the money, they grew up, built up, and then as people got sick and tired of the establishments, they went further away, which is further from the core sun, where it's harder to grow things, and without food you can't have whatever. And so the outer worlds, while freedom is abundant, harder to live. And technology is harder because you literally transport technology A to B. And so they get to go between these very western desert planets and then suddenly on this massive utopian, science planet. So if you're watching Firefly and you only ever saw one side or the other of the spectrum, you may think, hey, I'm watching hardcore sci-fi versus I'm watching a western. So perhaps all Discovery Episode 1 really was, and we'll see this later on, is that all we saw was more a outer rim of the ring of the galaxy, where in those core systems they are surviving, but they're never going to go further out, because what was left of the Federation says, guys, I'm sorry, we have to make the Federation only 1,000 light years rather than 5,000. Maybe we're just seeing the repercussions of 120 years of outer, and that's why it feels more dystopian, because it's not this lovely place, but it's not dystopian because everyone still functions of that we see. Although really all we see is a trade place with shitty guards, and this one guy who's stolen something is obviously a bit off the grid anyway, and who's more likely to go out of the way, because even though the aliens aren't on the endangered species list, I'm sure most people would not agree with them being sold, stolen, whatever. So maybe they go out in the outer room to do it anyway. So maybe it's more just a case of we're seeing the outer of the sphere of influence. So when we start to see more, we'll actually see, oh no, the Federation is fully in force in other parts. But then you're wondering, well, how have they kept this power? How have they got dilithium? Maybe they are, sucking up to these grand masters who control the dilithium stores. And so even though there is a Federation, there is a force behind that for bad,
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a lot to say, but just good mind brain there.
Happiest Gnome says the Federation has enough dilithium for 2 starships at least. Well, we're not sure that those are going at warp. They could be using Slipstream. They could be using something else. Or they could be doing low warp. Warp 2, Warp 3 are dilithium. Don't know.
Yeah,
to be fair.
The context was certainly at warp, and he was not worried by the speed. But yeah, we don't get quite enough.
Jeff Jacobs puts in $2.06. 100, nice. 150 is next. We can do it. Hashtag make Jeff pay. 153 people here. We should easily get 150. I was going to say easily hit 125, but we can hit 150 if everybody hits like. It's pretty easy. You guys can do it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Sean O'Neill says, imagine how bad Tash's planet is now. Well, most of the planets that are rich with dilithium, they're like in their core would probably be destroyed. We actually have an episode coming out about dilithium at some point that we filmed a while ago. A lot of the dilithium deposits that are found are usually in asteroid fields because the planets that house dilithium is very unstable, and they eventually blow the planet apart, so it becomes an asteroid field, and that's where you mine the dilithium from. So yeah, I mean, most planets that have a dilithium core, or at least veins running through it, would probably be destroyed if it was all exploded. We're not sure whether the burn, I mean, they did say it went boom, but it could just be boom and fade to dust or whatever. So
I mean, also, this was 120 years ago. Let's us talk about the 1900s and not having gone to school about the 1900s. Stuart, what was it like working in London, Ontario in 1900? What was the traffic like?
In 1900, I don't know if London, Ontario existed. It probably did. It was going to be the capital of Ontario. Then Toronto.
And that's where you live, and yet you don't know exactly too much. So
I know the point you were going for, yes.
Enough years ago, I mean, even for, obviously if you're a historian, that's one thing, but if you're just a person, and so a bad thing happened, I mean, World War One and Two, right? Terrible, awful, appalling. But if you didn't study at school, and you didn't care, and you just lived your life, most people wouldn't know that much. And most people might even think the Nazis were both world wars, even though they weren't. So there was, so him saying it went boom could just be the simplicity of it went away,
But that's something that I think would definitely be carried down. Like everything went boom, everything exploded. Look at all the debris. I think that's one sign that that's what happened.
Or sorry.
I was going to say, Eric McIntosh says this whole analogy is like saying that if all the oil dried up tomorrow, everything would fall apart. It would be difficult, but other sources would be developed. Yeah, but imagine if everything that contained oil and or petroleum-based products just suddenly exploded based on how much gas was in the tank or how much oil was in it. Everything that has that, or 80% of them, just blew up.
With an active reaction, though, not like in plastic. It'd have to be in a car or plane or power.
Yeah, just being used for something. Yeah, okay. Even in tanks underground for under gas station. If it all went boom, think of the devastation that would cause.
Even a small boom, like it destroys itself, and just a thing itself.
Yeah, it blows the engine up and throws shrapnel and kills a few people on the street. Like not huge, explosion, but still, it would be devastating enough. They'd have to clean up all the cars, all the planes, everything that was on the road. All the debris in space still there. And in fact, you might not have the resources to do it.
And how many factories have like emergency generators powered by?
Oh, exactly.
I mean, you could look at every factory and every travel. I mean, trains. Do they have an emergency power supply generator that isn't?
Even modern buildings have like a boiler room in the basement that provides the heating. If the boiler room in the basement explodes, could weaken the structural integrity of the building and have the building collapse as well. There's a lot of ramifications to the burn if it was actually lithium exploding.
And I like that analogy a lot in terms of fuel source. It makes sense. We have solar, we have electric, we have other power, which obviously can charge a phone, can charge a car, it can do things, but much less efficiently. But if 85% of the world's petrol, diesel, oil deactivated, let's not say blowed up, because I still think it's going to be more like cracked and whatever. Didn't blow up exactly.
He's calling that it's going to crack, and I'm saying it's blowing up
because that kills hundreds of trillions. That's everybody and that's the entire Federation, everything.
And that would make this dystopian 100%.
Yeah, well, yes.
Although, a century later, it would still be.
Although, would the mere logic that relay station, would the relay station use dilithium in its power core? Because it's a big station.
Possibly.
Because if it
doesn't have to go to warp. It's just a station. So who knows?
But why would you not want stable power? they wouldn't have to worry
Well, it could be
about.
that happened after the burn too, like just lack of maintenance from ships not being able to stop
But they
by.
said its power core went bad.
That the reactor went bad. That's what I'm getting
Yeah.
at. Like after he even said the sensor outposts went dead decades ago. Things burn out, especially if they can't get resupplied with equipment and resources, right? So
Yeah. But if all the petrol went away though, it's not so much if it just deactivated and we couldn't like fire it up anymore. How would you then restart the economy, the factories, get people from A to B? If the president is in Honolulu, how is he going to get to DC without petrol? And no one has petrol around him, and no one in the country has petrol. You just sort of can't do it.
Or a few people do. They still have jerry cans with a little bit of gas. But you got to find a car that didn't explode.
Yeah, one guy in Louisiana has some.
Yeah, but then the car that didn't explode is like a half continent away.
But we assume, in my vision, it hasn't exploded. Like, yes, any car, but like, I mean, you still can't travel those distances. And so wouldn't all of our internationalness be pointless? Like, you would never go to Australia if one plane ride cost $400,000. Because the petrol is that much, like you're just not.
Well, that's exactly what would happen. Anything that would still be able to travel would be ridiculously expensive to use because it would become a supply and demand type of thing. Anyway, we're missing a super chat here. Christopher Beatty, $5. Technically, Dystopian started with TNG Season 1. See Tasha Yar's background. There were many dystopian elements within the Federation. Well, when you have that many planets under your purview, of course you're going to have those elements.
Also, they weren't part of the Federation. They were in Federation space. They seceded beforehand. That was a whole part of the storyline. So they weren't Federation. They were in Federation space. They were not part of it. But good point. But planets can be bad and not doing good. Doesn't mean the Federation likes it or allows them to.
SC Scout Guy says, well, we used to use steam-powered ships and locomotives that were powered by coal. There's still a shit ton of coal left in the world. Yeah, but look how many operating steam locomotives there are. And to be able to get those to the point where they're usable and especially on a grand
traveling, and no one can travel.
So especially on a grand scale, yeah.
If an engineer who knows how to work steam is not within 10 miles of the steam, to then go and fix it, and then someone to then on his pedal bike take a few bits of coal as he goes. Yes, there's people like I'm sure people that like electric cars. Someone has, I've got a solar power. I still have power. Oh, but how far can you go? Not far. You know, it's I mean, that's why I said. I mean,
and then you got. Sorry, and then you got everybody in your neighborhood going, he's got an electric car. We're gonna go steal that car because we want to get to our family.
Well,
we need to take care of them.
There's always a scene from War of the Worlds that still scars me to this day, and I watched that in a very like day, where Tom Cruise is going to the river with a boat, with his car, and he's one of the few people that work in car, and that was a whole big plot element. He got it working. Obviously, having a car changes your survival opportunity, and so yes, he manages to get through a certain number of people through this, but it all takes that one guy with that one bat to break a window and say, "Oh, I'm going to be the guy that has this car. I'm going to take it from them." And then once that happens, people go into this awful mentality of kill or be killed. And now since cars are broken, you've killed the people inside it. People have now hurt each other, and everyone loses the car. But because that one guy thinks I'm better than this.
And
horrible
that's
scene,
actually
brilliant scene.
That's actually a great analogy as well. An EMP. Because that's exactly what happened in that War of the World movie. And the new starter replaced or whatever, some of them were fine, so the cars would still start. So it's the same kind of thing that we're talking about with the dilithium for sure.
Actually, yeah, because our hero had a car. That's the only reason he survived, because he was an engineer who managed to do a thing, that got a thing, and did a thing.
Ace 2000 puts in $2. Kirk to us, killing is murder, even for revenge.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, yes, absolutely.
Although Nexus is nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. Yes, there are exceptions, and I'm sure like the White House has 9 types of power. There are exceptions, as there should be.
That being said, those aircraft carriers have a shit ton of oil and fuel aboard in the form of planes, other subsystems, other subsystems within the ship. If they all went boom, your reactor don't count for nothing because you got holes in your ship. So, want to try that one again?
Yeah, that's why the escalation. Like I said, if every Starfleet ship, shuttle, station, ground base, trader, everything, and even warp probes. If everything goes boom, like, you cannot rebuild the fleet if Planetia's destroyed. Like, everything. Like, that is basically game over if every ship in the entire quadrant goes boom. And station.
And again, Eric McIntosh, alternative fuels available now. A multi-planet federation in the advanced future would have a much easier time than we would now, and already solar, hydrogen, algae, biological, diesel exist. Yes, but again, if all the infrastructure basically around you goes boom, you're screwed. People can't come to fix your Tesla electric chargers. The power plant that generates the electricity based on the turbines that are, the waterfalls running over, they're going to stop, and then your electricity's done, so you can't even charge your electric car anymore. And sure, you got solar power takes forever to charge something,
and then what do you pick? Do you want to power your stove that day, or do you want to power your phone that day, or do you want to power your car that day? Oh, you only got one. Now obviously, in the two scenarios, one, crystals go boom, the other one they go inert. Planets aren't powered by dilithium, aren't even like that's so the planet. All the planets are fine. Planets
except for the ones that have dilithium cores.
They are fucked. Other planets are fine. So Earth is absolutely fine, but it's not about actual things going dead. It's about we can no longer travel these distances at a speed that makes any sense. I'm fine with retconning slipstreams being it never quite worked, or it's really hard. I mean, they do say in it, it needs other sort of material. Just as with anything, if you've got, say, 5,000 warp-capable ships, right? And 1,000 slipstream-capable ships, but resources are limited, and all the dilithium ships can now only go warp 1 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, they can only go in their own solar system. Slipstream, great, but it burns through fuel much quicker. And now, they need more fuel because they know there's no stockpiles and we can't go to this planet with fuel. And so as soon as those fuels, we'll start. It's okay. We've got 1,000 useful ships, great, but we've got now. How do we now keep the Federation intact with 1,000 ships rather than 6,000? Oh no, we've now got 4,000, 500 because the other ones are out of fuel because we need this other fuel to keep slipstream. And they say, well, let's just send all the ships to get fuel and bring it back to Earth. So we've got a stockpile. But now we're no longer doing the mission of keeping the Federation together because you just need the fuel. And so yes, all of the main ships, I'm sure, all the flagships, the equivalent of Gowron's ship, they all have these new types of fuel, either dilithium or things for slipstream. But without the ability to easily go out and get more, you've got to prioritize. And then you just say, well, we'll just stay close to home because why? The Federation's all about we've got unlimited power. We'll go make friends with everybody. If you've got limited power, well, maybe it's not as important.
And using the oil analogy, sure, you got a Tesla, you got an electric powered vehicle, good for you. What happens when you blow a tire? The manufacturing process for a tire for rubber involves petroleum, and even the plant that makes it. So if you can't get new tires for your fully charged up, it's all about the parts and the little things, right? Danny Shields, though, €5. Sahil might be the most Starfleet Federation character we've ever had. Discuss and show your work.
Wow.
Absolutely. He's like we always say this about Worf. He's more Klingon than most Klingons because he wasn't raised Klingon, but he aspires to be Klingon. So the
ideals.
He looks deep into the ideals and just lives them. Like he's more Klingon than most Klingons. And I think the same thing can be said for Sahil as being a Federation a shining beacon as far as the Federation goes. This past organization that he aspires to be part of because his grandfather was and his father was. Absolutely. So there's my work. That's a quick discussion.
I won't go. Nothing in the modern Treks is better than all the old Treks. Like there's better officers in other Treks. Of course there are. But for new Trek, yes, he's brilliant. I mean, even compared to Pike, who he's great, but lovely guy in terms of what he did. Hopefully they won't betray him. Luckily I think his vibe, I like the trailer which it came across as a hologram, an evil hologram as the trailer, like his weird old vibe. I'm hoping that he stays good. I'm hoping that because he is isolated, he is going to be like this station is going to be their home away from home. That we're going to keep having them go back there, help them rebuild it, and we're going to see that's going to be like one of the bastions of hope, and this guy who believes in it all will push it forward. Because I don't want to see him turn out to be like, thank you, Commander Burnham, we now have quantum torpedoes, ha 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 ha. I'll kill Packleads in the recent system because they suck.
Rusty Knuckle Iron Gut. Rubber can be done from rubber trees. With rubber trees. Yes. Where do rubber trees grow? Not near me. And how do you get the tire to fit the rim of the car? It's got to be made to specifications.
And how many solar planes can you fly? Solar powered planes to get over to the place which has the trees, so then bring it back and how do you generate the power? Because, you
see the problems? Like, you got answers to everything, but if you actually think about it, it's more complicated.
Obviously, those in the country with the trees will be fine. They can have low-end vehicles to go there and mine it, whatever, get it, and then get it close. But someone in another country won't. So each planet will have their own. That's why I said it'll go back to a more like Brexit in a sense. We want to be independent, but without a choice. We have to be independent because the universe got a lot smaller, except for those that can afford to travel. One of the real questions though, Stuart, is how, and I've actually now discussing this with you especially. I want to see what the Klingons are like and the Romulans. What is an empire that likes to conquer, at least in the abstract sense? Or have they mellowed? I mean, Praxis, one single moon going boom, which is this situation, they would be dead within 40 years or so, whatever the number was. Like the whole race, because their expansion, they can't generate enough power. That's clearly, that dilithium's absurdly important for the growth of an empire. And obviously, though, I can imagine the Klingons just use dilithium to power everything, because it's like, yeah, this works. Whereas we're like, oh, let's have multiple sources.
I think that 40-year thing was also the survival of Kronos, because the moon was close to Kronos and it was causing environmental issues.
And it's really intervened.
Yes.
Although we know Kronos was fine, so obviously wasn't.
Yeah. Donnie Pearson, I hope the new Starfleet badges would double as communicators. I'm sure they will. Okay. I also double down on that and say they're probably going to be personal transporters as well. Include that future tech. I am okay with that as well. That's an awesome idea.
But the recharge is super important and also very limited range. Don't make him god tech, because it's already pretty good. I would say like 5 miles and 30 seconds. And any more than that is like one use, or 10 miles and they burn out, Yeah. So there's something really hefty, but that's good. That's fun. I would actually be down for that.
Ace 2000, $5 Canadian. Wasn't the Equinox's dilithium replaced by those aliens? Captain Ransom, ahead of his time.
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
Because that also did power the ship. I mean, that dilithium and deuterium, if you don't have dilithium to find deuterium, you have no power for deuterium, which means you run out of... Yeah. Although, as we know, he also complained they rarely found deuterium. Voyager finds on every other asteroid.
Yep.
I was like, bloody woman! How often? Oh, every 2 weeks. What? But they fought the Borg. Ransom never fought the Borg. Just saying.
The STEM support throws in $20.99. Thank you very much.
That really does help.
Story will be dilithium needed for warp to regulate power. No crystals big enough for large ships. Small ships like books only. When dilithium went boom, unregulated mixing caused ship stations to go boom. Unregistered, unregulated. I don't know what he means by that, but yeah, I like that. Even if not, well, they did say not all the dilithium went boom, most of it. So even if there's just small fragments left of even the bigger elements, I like that they can only power or allow smaller ships to be to go fast, because the big ships just. But then again, that being said, it's 800 years in the future. You'd think that they would whittle down their dilithium reliance a lot over those years.
I mean, but then look at our thing with oil.
It's getting less and less with solar and electric. It's taking a long time, and it will take a long time. But
imagine if there wasn't the same hurting the environment. Would they be as keen to do a difference? If dilithium doesn't hurt the environment, why it works? Why would you find something else? Max volume. If Discovery's future is dystopian, is it dystopian? No. Okay, let's just talk about Star Trek for 2 hours. Now this is directly linked. If the universe doesn't work, that's a dystopian. We're trying to work out how the universe works, and then if it's actually stable or not, because that's important. And Eric says replicas don't run on dilithium. No, but often the things you power the ship with do, and you need power to run replicators. You don't need to power it with. You don't need to power the ship with dilithium. That's just the biggest power source they use, and that's important.
And the STEM support did mean unregulated, so thank you. Danny Shields, €5, hoping he's the first president of the new Federation. Oh, that'd be awesome. Sahil, a non-commissioned officer who becomes a communications officer and then president of the new Federation. I would be down for that. I think that'd be great.
Well, he's probably not qualified. I mean, he has the love, but he can't so do the job. Have you seen Prometheus? I assume you have.
I've seen a lot of Prometheuses.
The Ridley Scott film Prometheus. Alien prequel #1.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have it in 3D.
Yeah. Nice. Good looking film sometimes. So David, the android replicant man, spoiler, not really, he's in the trailer and every part of the film, he learns all of the skills during transit. Like, he spends all day learning. So if Sahid, I think he says his name, if he spent 40 years, not just sitting at his desk, but like learning about stuff, then maybe he could learn so much about the universe of the before, after, the here, that he's just so knowledgeable and equal, fair-minded, that yes, Mr. President. But I mean, do you think, and this is a side note, do you think we're going to get the revelation, the reveal that his realm of knowledge is so small, but that's just him, that we're going to get a point? Is it going to be when we go somewhere, boom, here's Starfleet, here's a space dock, here's 10 ships, and they say, oh no, we've got a fleet, it's fine. They're just choosing not to go out there. They chose left him behind because it's too far. Or are we going to find, oh no, there really is only like 17 ships for the entire quadrant. Like, where are we going to go with that?
It could be either one, and I'm happy with either one.
Okay.
If Starfleet does have a small base and a few ships assembled, they might not have the capability to go far, and they're very much keeping it contained, and just slowly exploring around. They haven't got to him yet,
Yeah.
I would be fine with that, but I'm also fine with just the entire Federation maybe having like 10 ships.
It'd be kind of satisfying in its own way.
Yeah, and each scenario is definitely plausible. The way books described it, you hear the people that wax poetic about the Federation, the guys with those badges, and it really means a lot to them. They could definitely be still in a Starfleet, trying to recruit people into Starfleet, and nobody believes them. And then you hear tales of this guy that came into town with this badge, and it sounds like a Western already.
Yes, absolutely.
And he's trying to recruit people for this, this organization that existed a century ago. And he was kind of, kicked out of town as like a crazy guy, I could see it being both, actually.
And I want to jump back. I'm glad we remembered. The brilliant super chat said it's about the size of dilithium, which is interesting. What if it is a case of anything bigger than X, gone? And so literally, you just can't power big enough ships effectively enough. At least for those standard warp, and again, you run out of the other fuel because you can't, Wouldn't it be interesting if just as, so say that's the decider, you can have smaller dilithium, but it's only good for smaller ships. If then the warp scale becomes relatively smaller for what you can achieve with the amount of stability, if you suddenly go from warp 9.975 in TNG, and obviously, warp 13 by all good things, let's say...
Different warp scale.
Yeah. Let's say power to efficiency, as each car has a certain petrol to speed efficiency peak, right? Say that for most ships of a correct size, let's say warp 4. How far would you want to go at warp 4? Because the outer rim might be like 5 years away. How far would you go distance travel if all you could really is warp 4 and be sustained, happy, whatever?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Would you want to push those limits, or do you want to stay close to your home? Well, you just want to stay close to your home base, where you have resources, you have a structure.
So it's just like with traveling to you or America. It's not necessarily the plane there. Once you're done, you're done. It's like, oh, fuck, I've got to do it back again. God damn it! It's another 14 hours!
Not only that, but once you land, I gotta drive you from the airport to my place, which is like an hour and a half.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Like, And then when I went to see you, 5-hour flight, then I rent a car, and it's like a 5-hour drive to your house when it should be an hour because the traffic sucked. That was not fun. We were in the car longer than I was in the plane.
Yeah.
Just saying.
We did have nice chats though.
We did.
And I've made you go off and have food, and that was great. For what it was,
Yes.
that was actually quite nice.
Yes.
You have to listen to me. As a co-pilot, I can override. I'm like the doctor.
Well, you're the commander. You kind of got to tell me to smarten up once in a while.
Yes.
I can still just say no. Because
I can still say I'm not taking no. No, I'm medical officer. I can override a no if I know it's right. Because sleep-deprived steward does not make as good decisions as any stewards make good decisions. But
hey, shut up. Brett Barrow, $5. This is Discovery. The writers will forget about this whole plot line by episode 5 and will never hear a word of Dilithium again. Love you guys. Love you too, Brett.
Oh, now that's interesting because the Romulan refugee story was abandoned in Picard, thrown away.
Yeah, so many things were thrown away. Remember the loose plot threads live we did where we went through them all? And will these be resolved by the end of the season? And now most of them are just, nope. They weren't even talked about again. So.
God, yeah. That's, I mean, that to be fair though, and I'll give Brett credit for a great comment there, if we get the situation where the further out you go, the less resources there are because the major powers aren't there. But as soon as you go into the primary, middle of Federation, middle of Klingon, middle of Romulan space, they're fine because they're the heart. And once we as the characters are in the heart of the space, well, you don't need to worry about dilithium anymore because we have slipstream and dilithium and transwarp. It's just we don't go out far because we only have limited. So if there's that sense, then I'm fine with that. And then the Spore drive becomes the crucial because then you can jump between the outer inner colony.
Yeah. And
then Discovery becomes, because then suddenly you say, oh, we know of a planet with this much of this resource, and the Federation, on Earth is like, oh shit, and you could get us there in 2 seconds. We would take 94 months.
You know what the burn really is?
What?
All the dilithium didn't go boom; it went bloom. It turned from dilithium into mushrooms, and it's mycelial network mushrooms. So it's like wherever there was dilithium, there's mushrooms now, and they're like, we can't use this shit. And Discovery comes along and goes, oh, really? Because we have a Spore drive that runs on this shit. I'm just kidding. Danny Shields, €5.
Thank you.
Non-commissioned chief, being the most important person in Starfleet history. Sahil following in the grand tradition of Miles Edward O'Brien. Absolutely.
Yeah, I hope he's got a good vibe. I hope he keeps that.
Yeah. James McGill, $5. Does the temporal prime directives apply to Commander Burnham and the USS Discovery, who is from the past before the ban on time travel? Well, I don't think the temporal prime directives were really in existence at the point of Discovery. I mean, they came about because of all the crap that happened later, the odd instances, forays into time travel. So there might be some kind of temporal prime directive, but it's not as expanded, obviously, as it is later. So good question.
If she's moving out of an era without the temporal prime directive into an era post the end of time travel, then the time cops would say, okay, we are in charge of patrolling temporal prime directive era into end of our society. And we've got to be real about this, guys. We let society fall because it has to. That's what happens. I mean, that's the whole point of Daniels. He was trying to keep time on a line, So I can see her basically jumping, because the time cop still exists. Because you destroy time travel at one point in time doesn't mean it doesn't always exist. It's just, at that point in the future, it's been stopped. It's been stopped as an active technology, not as a thing that happened in the past. So yeah, she literally went over the entire temporal history of time travel. That's funny. Yeah, that's funny.
ISFJ 1009, $5.
Thank you.
Risa is 90 light years from Earth. At Warp 4, a trip to Risa would take 323 days. Boo. Well, it's just a year. I mean, it's not too bad.
But that is true. That puts in perspective.
Is Risa really that close to Earth? I always got the feeling that Risa was out further. Anyway.
That's still many light years. But that's, that does.
It's 90 light years even.
That does put into perspective, though. Like, if Warp 4 is as fast as you can go, you're not going to Riser. You're committing a year to spend a year to come back for a year. Like, that does smorgasbord the universe. Yeah, and that's a great point. And that's why the Spore Drive will be fun, actually. Just the sense of, we can go back to Earth, and the guy will be like, wait, what? It will take this station's last remaining warp shuttle 42 months, and we're like, oh, we can just, like, do you want to go now? Yeah, we can. I mean, put a cup of coffee on, and by the time the machine says ding, we'll be there and back. Okay. But I want to stay. That'd be great.
Yeah.
And his dad's still on Earth. Dum dum dum.
Dum dum dum. Yeah. Tiberius Severus puts in $5. Will the Federation ships that still exist be super old or new designs? Interested to hear Discovery's crew input on the newer designs of Starfleet. Again, we want to see newer design ships, especially considering that the burn happens 810 years after Discovery jumped, essentially. So we want to see new ships, obviously. We already saw new ships in TOS. We've shown ships in TNG. They evolve. With that being said, we see the Hiawatha or Hiawatha class crash in the upcoming this season on. If that's going back to the burn flashback, I'm going to be pissed. I can see them using older ships maybe now because the older ships didn't rely on dilithium as heavily for whatever reason. I'm trying to make up something.
I mean, if it's literally as the museum, like, they rounded up every museum ship, and that was the one in existence. But that's such a long time, because we also worked out that it was like 817 years from Star Trek Picard, the Discovery shuttles. So even Picard era ships, I mean, we all think the Miranda in DS9 is at its last legs. That's like 102 years or less.
Yeah.
800 years. I mean, I'll be honest, the rust should probably have got to them by then. But we do know, because we know the team, there'll be Discovery-looking ships.
Yes.
There'll be square nacelle with 3 basards that'll be glowing green because that's future, and there'll be very long nacelles, and they'll have pylons that'll have holes in them. They'll have all green blinkies because why not? And they'll have a bridge module with a big ass window, but the window will be a window, and there'll be the whole top dome be a window as well because it's the future. So they get their bridge window, the whole thing's window.
The whole ship will be made of glass.
They're going to be garbage. But that said, obviously, I'd rather see future ships. But they're not good at designing things. Even John Eves, who used to be good, his future designs are okay.
Yeah, that's because it's designed by committee. He designs it, and they go in and they want things changed.
Yeah, so even with that, they're not capable. I mean, the J obviously is the most future of Federation Starfleet conventional, then the Relativity aesthetic. And even that, I would be weird to see Relativities flying around that sort of stylisticness. I mean, Stowe had a trouble designing Relativity era stuff. They're all a bit odd, because of course they are.
Yeah. Guys, we have 143 likes, 172 people watching.
Brilliant.
We need 7 more likes to hit to 150. Let's do it. The STEM support throws in $7 Canadian.
Thank you.
$100 bet now. By end of season or so, or season 4, Spore Drive will save the Federation fleet, or save the Federation. Fleet will be equipped with Spore Drive, and they'll return to power. I would put money on that. Absolutely, I will. I'm not going to take that bet because I know
Basically,
I'm on your side.
Basically, what you're saying is Brian Fuller, Alex Kurtzman, and the US Discovery design saves the future.
Yep, that's exactly what's going to happen.
And the problem is that works. It should just not have come from Discovery, as in the show, You should have had, Stuart, small retcon. Discovery season 1, erase it, right? Start with season 2. It's revealed the Red Angel suit uses the Spore Drive. That first time we see it, and that was tech from the future that the mum brought back. And then that tech is used to power Discovery, and that tech from the alternate future saves the new future. Done. Like that would be fine. We'd be like, oh yeah, it's future tech, and it never goes further than Discovery, and it powers. That's fine. But because it already exists in Discovery era, Like, I'm sorry, even if it is, classified, they would have tried Spore tech if they wanted to in the 2950s, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So to have everyone be Spore drivers is it basically just says Discovery's great, and Discovery isn't great.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ace 2000 throws in $2.
Thank you.
Would be neat if Guinan ever guest starred. She'll guest star on Picard season 2. We've heard that.
Ooh.
So,
not they've written it necessarily, but at the point they pitched it. But
yeah,
brilliant.
Hez Raz, I want the explanation to be something good and not something stupid for the burn. I'm guessing the creators didn't realize warp could be done without dilithium. Exactly. Exactly. I don't think they know any better. So, and Jeff Jacobs, $2, 150. This chat is a utopia to me, not a dystopia. 200. Here we come.
I will.
177. Everybody hit like. Let's get those numbers up, guys.
And it's great to see you. Hopefully, you guys appreciate the interesting discourse. Nowhere else on YouTube do you find this much minutia with one part of the topic, which I'm absolutely fine with. And I will, say now, credit them. I liked the vibe. It wasn't dystopian per se, even though there was that hint of not quite right. It was a good balance. I think we both were expecting a real shit show of the universe is in chaos, the Federation is destroyed, and they went evil, and now no, didn't get that yet.
Yeah.
Probably by episode 6 we'll get that shit. But episode 1, just like episode 1 of last season, it was like, okay, interesting.
Well, who's gonna be the big baddie? I mean, it's kind of the thing now to have a big baddie.
And it has to be universe destroying baddie, because that always has to be Discovery Picard.
Like I'm fine with the burn being artificial, being something that species like species 8472 from Fluidic Space decided to do it so they could come in and invade our space. Something like that would be fine. But is it going to be a race of people? Is it going to be one single guy? Like, what is it going to be? Who's the baddie? Call it. Everybody call it now.
And will it be defeated in the last episode in 45 minutes of the last episode?
Absolutely. Yes, they will. Yeah. Colin Barrett, did Zephyr Cochrane not build a warp-capable ship without dilithium? He did, yes. As we probably missed that part, but low warp 1, might be warp 2, is attainable without dilithium. Dilithium is just a refinement procedure that makes higher warp speeds achievable. So, and yeah, you'd think other species might develop other tech that could go warp 3, 4, or whatever without needing it as well. So.
I do like the idea of Slipstream needing certain resources, and those are hard to find, even harder than dilithium, which would make sense.
Yeah.
But do you want to use limited fuel to get your limited fuel if you don't even know there's gonna be fuel there? Like if it's really hard to detect, how much fuel do you? But then I mean we gotta know what happens to the Borg. We know the Borg are still fine in Picard if just not attacking. The Borg have transwarp. I 100% without any frame of reference and doubt. They have non-dilithium power supplies. They assimilated every race in that quadrant, hyperbolically. They have unbelievable everything. They're fine. So the Borg are going to be a threat. Maybe the Queen, maybe Alice Krieg, who looks great still, can come back as a Borg Queen and say, "Hey guys, I caused the burn, and now I'm back." Hey ho. That's because Data wouldn't sleep with me twice. I mean, once. Give me Brent Spiner back for another season. And Brent's like, God damn it!
Rock Star Self. Don't the Romulans use a different power supply? Yes. Well, the Federation uses deuterium as a power supply, which is converted to matter and antimatter, which creates a reaction. Romulans use a quantum singularity drive to power their core.
Yep, which then powers their warp drive. Because warp fields are generated by power. We have to generate the power somehow. And the more power you pump into things, the less stable it is. Hence why.
So, Rock, dilithium is not a power supply. It's not the power source. It is just it's one of the chains in the long. It's one of the links in the long chain of what makes warp capable, at least high warp.
It's the way of stabilizing an extremely high power network, allowing for power to be generated and pumped into systems.
And Roman makes a good point. Wouldn't the Romulans be part of the Federation by that time? Absolutely. I can totally see that being a thing. You got to remember, this is over the course of 800 years. And I say 800 because that's when the burn happened, 810 years after Discovery.
I mean, they were so poorly done in Picard, it's impossible to know where they are or where they're going.
It's very true.
Like, they have no idea. They didn't know what they wanted to do with that, so we can't say. I think they would have such a proud lineage of not being part of the Federation. I can see them not. I can see there being the Romulan Republic, like in Stowe, and then like a Romulan space, which the Federation, they're part of the Federation, like, subsets. Because when people just want peace, they, or in Federation space, or a Federation protectorate. Like, we are not formally, but we have some of the benefits. Whatever. Yeah. But I mean, they're allowed to do their own thing. I don't need them part of the Federation. Who are Klingons? It's like, Klingons are part of the Federation. Nah. You don't need that. You don't need that. It's fine.
The STEM support puts in $4. Wasn't Voyager Slipstream powered by the same matter-antimatter engine?
No. Yes. Both.
At different times.
Well, yeah. For what I recall, they got the schematics from Arcturus, and they were able to match that. But they couldn't keep it stable, and I believe they found some newer. When they actually were planning to do the trip back in Timeless, they found a newer type of dilithium on a rock asteroid, which had them repurpose that, and so it was a newer, more advanced type of dilithium, which then allowed them to go to generate more power to do slipstream. I think they did have, they could do slipstream, but it was very limited bursts.
Yeah.
And I mean, good for you, but I mean, you're going to burn through your power very quickly because I mean, you do run out of resources. So they could, and the drive was unstable, and they also went into the wake of Arcturus. So he was opening it, like he was part. They will also keep it. There's a whole lot of things. Like they're also matching the deflector. There's a whole thing, but that was very limited.
Yeah. ISFJ 1009 $5. What about modifying graviton emissions to create hyperspace jumps, Commander? Wink, wink.
Yeah. Different over subspace. Great. Or, I mean, hey, there's Indy. We don't know if these are lithium. They could be still doing the interphasic rift thing. That whatever they were called.
Well, I mean, even the Tholians, because Carlos A. Smith, $5. And the Tholians use, because they use that layer below subspace to move. That's hence the Tholian web and the Defiant slipping through it. And wow. Yeah.
And Demon Nightmare says, how do the Borg use slipstream? They don't use it. They use transwarp, which is again not based on. I mean, it's all just power, isn't it? It's all power, but you don't need to do it via dilithium.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different. I mean, it's Death's ship in Voyager. Actually, it'd be kind of interesting if they had a caveat again. This many years, if all the Delta Quadrant races end up coming to the Alpha Quadrant, and because the Alpha Quadrant went through a massive oh dear. The Delta Quadrant, it was never quite dilithium as, wouldn't that be kind of cool if we end up seeing, like, Hirogen and Voth? Because, they would travel to the Alpha Quadrant with their incredibly advanced engines because they didn't use dilithium. Like, they use other stuff, and they just wouldn't share it because, obviously, the power balance... I mean, I don't think, obviously, the people of Discovery are going to say, look, we'll bring a Voth city ship from, Star Trek Voyager. Of course they're not going to do that. That would be too cool. Or, although there is a Hirogen in Picard who gets killed, which is cool, but...
Shannon Nash throws in $10, so thank you very much. The Iconians and their gateway technology may factor in. There's a Romulan connection there as well. 2, the Takan Empire had some portal tech as well.
Yeah. I mean, Iconians, I mean, that would... Those who control the gateways controls the world.
Or the universe.
I mean, that's the thing. There's such a broad spectrum. It might just be his
lots of broads.
His thing, It'd be great to see other ships. Yeah.
Cyborg 00J puts in $5. At the end of the season is Discovery's mission to stitch the Federation back together as the only ship capable of long-distance travel. I don't know if that's at the end of the episode, at the end of the season, or just the course of the season. But I think that's going to play into it somewhat, especially with the Spore drive. They can definitely do those far jumps to find out what the other areas of the Federation are up to very quickly. So yeah, definitely a thing. And Damon Nightmare says, I thought transwarp and slipstream were the same.
Nope.
The terms are used loosely a lot through Star Trek.
Yes.
Transwarp and slipstream, and sometimes it's different technology from different species.
Slipstream is different to slipstream slightly.
Yes, it's all
and
different.
It gets even more annoying when the Borg they most of the time use the green quantum slipstream. Freudian slip. The green transwarp, but they did use the whitier slipstream. For the most, it becomes consistent at a certain point. And there's also the blue version of slipstream. Because different. It's just a name for faster than. I think the Federation just call it a faster than version, but yeah, it's slightly different.
Yeah,
that's why you don't have a slipstream network where you have slipstream tunnels. It's a field you create, whereas transwarp is actually you can keep tunnels formed and then.
Yeah. And Shannon Nash says, wouldn't using the Spore drive damage the mycelial network? Well, it was causing damage to the mycelial network before, but it's had a long time to recover or heal. That being said, the mycelial network is everywhere at all the time. It doesn't really affected by time.
But
so
the producers are going to forget that and say you know what they're going to do? Stamets is going to go into the network and he's going to see a bigger forest. Oh wow, it grew so much in the last 900 years, and then we're going to say, no, sir. I'll put some glasses on. No, you fed it with timeless. That's not how time works. There you go.
Actually,
because it's a forest that grew. And now the Spore drive is healthier than ever, and we can do whatever we want. Oh.
Well, the tardigrade's going to show up and save the day at some point in season 3. You know what's going to happen. The tardigrade's just going to blink out of existence or into existence in front of the ship and be like, I'm here to help you guys. Remember me? I'm Ripper.
Or we're going to have that scene where Michael Burnham is being walked through a Federation base. We're on Earth, it's fine. And they're going to say, your Spore drive is very similar to technology we're studying right now. Open a door, the lights are dark. And then spotlight, Ripper in chains with electric. And Michael walks in and he's like, Ripper! Or I don't know if you call him anything apart from Ripper. Ripper! He's like, you know this creature? Yes, it killed some people I knew once and then I let it go. And we milked it for spores a bit, like twice. And then it's revealed that in the future, these evil people are using the tardigrade for power. And we're like, oh, shut up, Discovery. Just shut up. Call back to Discovery.
Hezras says the tardigrade can talk now. It evolved. No, Universal Translator has got better in the future.
Both.
Or both. Sure.
Hello, I'm a tardigrade. Hello. Stop killing me, please. And slowly.
Grid Cube says the damage to the mycelial network is created by the soul of Dr. Colbert contaminating it. Once Colbert was back in the real world, they can dash freely. This was explained by producers last season. Explained by producers in like the ready room afterwards, because that doesn't count.
Well,
it doesn't count if you don't get it across in your story, because that's what everybody else says. It's not canon unless it's on screen. People like Lore Reloaded say that it's alpha canon if it's on screen.
It's definitely
that's the only thing that matters.
I think.
I know.
First season it's been damaged by other evil ISS Stamets. Second year it's being damaged by Prime Stamets' boyfriend. But either way, it's the thing that holds the universe together, just like the koala. Do you think the koala eats the Spore universe? Do you think he lives in the mycelial network, or is he above it in a different plane, an even higher plane than mycelial?
I can see him hanging out one of the trees in the mycelial network, just eating that stuff.
Yes, that'd be a scene. And that would be the canon continuity continuation. Stamets walks in, he's a koala eating a mycelial tree. And we're like, I see what you did. And it's voiced by Mike McMahon. And then the guy from Lower Decks that ascended, he's gonna walk out of the brush and say, "Hey, who are you?" And then he'll say, "You're not from my universe." Yeah, you're not so Prime. I don't know.
Devo77X, Lorca in Chains. What? Chains? Why does that sound like a band name? I think he said Ripper in Chains.
Yes.
Tardigrade sounds like a better band name. Lorca in Chains sounds like fanfic for.
Sounds like Stuart's fanfiction.
Hey, I like Lorca, not that much though.
Lorca in chains with Stamets. That's your fan fiction.
No, Tilly and Chains. Now you got
With
the
Stamets.
bestseller.
Either way with
Eh?
Stamets. Good luck with Stamets. Hey, you gave his
We
Stuart.
do like
You
Stamets.
gave him
Stamets
your
good.
hotel key. He
I
knows
know.
where you're at.
I know. Yeah. So, wow, that went off the rails quickly, as it tends to do.
Now, actually, let's bring up something briefly because I've seen a couple of news articles. I'm not sure where they're getting it from, but saying that the burn is probably omega molecules going boom.
I don't know where that came from. That just
few
came
sites.
out of the blue.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think that's dumb. Maybe the Borg were experimenting with something and destroyed all dilithium. I don't know. Because the Borg are after, they like that omega particle, you know. It's their god.
Yeah, once they get it, they can just relax.
Yeah.
We've done assimilating.
They can chill the fuck out.
And now every cube is just a dance party. We got it. That one guy that all of his appendages broken. But yeah, the omega particle. I mean, I get it will burn the galaxy. That was part of it, but it wouldn't destroy dilithium. It's a totally unrelated thing.
Yeah.
But
the word burns in it, so it's got to be.
Yeah.
Everybody's thinking like Discovery producers and writers, I guess. Because that's what they think.
No, everyone's thinking like Michael Mann is trying to connect the universes. Discovery producers don't do that. Because even the own aliens they've used before. Like, they've used the same Andorian and Tellarite people and props. Like, it's not as if they're doing new things, mostly. Which is not in itself a bad thing, just, you know. Yeah, so we're probably going to see... might see Hirogen, because they did the Picard makeup, obviously same team. Different place. Well, I guess that was filmed after? Depends on the season.
Well, hold on a second here. I just gotta do that.
What do you guys think? How realistic do you think the small brief mention, but yeah, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. Christopher Beatty, sorry, $2. But doesn't the omega particle destroy subspace? I mean, I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember. Only if it explodes. Shannon Nash throws in $5. Maybe the Tholians got sick of all the time travel and used their tech to shatter all dilithium as an FU. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to know the time when the temporal wars ended in relation to when the burn happens.
And maybe if one linked the other slightly. I mean, I'm still fine with time travelers doing it, hurting the future, and then everything's outlawed. Although you obviously can't enforce a ban, unless the time tech was the thing that let you. Because remember, Burnham's suit can travel anywhere in time and space without dilithium. So clearly, time tech can do anything easily. You know what I mean? All it needed was one easily accessible time crystal from a planet easily findable by monks, easily convincible, and technology easily buildable. It's like a Build-A-Bear. You just do it.
I was going to say Build-A-Bear. What? Yeah.
So, I'm sure those ships can also go in. So maybe part of it is that we need to make the universe, reset the universe, so we'll, it's weird.
Yeah. So in conclusion, is the Discovery's future dystopian?
30% yes.
I think more than that. I think it is for the Federation for sure. Outside elements might be doing better if they don't use dilithium or didn't rely on it as much as the Federation. But yeah, seeing all the debris everywhere is very disconcerting, especially on a planet where people are coming all the time to do courier things and trade.
It's not said the planet, it's just the system. So they might be meeting like outside the system, near the system, like it's a point to meet at. that they know is safe.
Yeah, I know, but you'd still clear that out of your space lanes if you have people coming to the planet all the time. You know?
Remember, there's different planets. Like this planet and the planet they go to with the dude in the space station are different planets. So there's a wreckage field above the planet, which used
that they crashed on.
Yes, there's wreckage there, and then there's a space station planet, which is a different planet, which also has.
How'd they get to the different planet?
Well, he took them at warp. We see them. They go at warp. Remember, they go to warp to Sanctuary, and he says, "I'll take you to the place. I'll take you to the relay station," and they warp there.
Yeah. Yeah, but everything on the planet is the planet with the debris in orbit.
There's two planets, but no space station. Space station is a separate planet, 100%. Where are they going? Where are they trying to go to?
What space station?
The relay at the end.
Yeah, that's really different. Yeah, I'm saying the planet that they're on for the whole fucking episode.
Yeah,
is the planet that starts out at the beginning.
There's also debris at the space station because we see it. I'm saying there's two debris fields.
Two debris fields, absolutely. Okay. Yes, that's what I'm saying. But the one around the planet, you'd think you'd get rid of and clear it out because it's very close to the planet. It's going to eventually start spiraling in and get closer and closer and closer and closer and start burning up in the atmosphere.
Also Federation debris, especially NCC-USS.
Yes, absolutely. Squadron Course, $2. All this great talk is making me feel better. Well, that's very good, Squadron Course. Hopefully you do feel better soon.
And guys, I'll be honest, we need $30 more. And 31 more likes. So pretty even, actually. I want to see that. That'd be we started slow.
30-30 now. 30-30.
30. Brilliant. I mean, come on, guys. 6 5s, 3 10s, etc. I think it's a great conversation. We'd love to see those rounded up numbers. Likes and super chats if you can. But the fact that we're able to go into this, and it'd actually be kind of interesting to go back and rewatch episode 1 of season 2 of Discovery and see our thoughts. Like, if we're having this much discussion. Because episode 1 was obviously very, oh my god.
Yeah.
But I feel like, there's a lot of openness here. Now, as I said last season, if the payoff is bad, the setup then becomes worse. Because you realize they didn't mean anything interesting. And this is a lot of... We are adding all the cool stuff here. Like, there's a couple of small things, and we are giving it all the extra value. So that may just be us. It may fail. Or maybe more interesting.
Well, I mean... The setup for season 3 has been good as far as... I mean, if Discovery had started this way, I think I'd be more interested in it, honestly. But... yeah, I can see why people are kind of saying that, if this had been the jumping off point for Discovery, it would have been a little bit more interesting. But again, you're automatically going to get those parallels to Andromeda and things regardless. But how many times... We've said this how many times before? How many ideas are out there? You need to rehash ideas because, it's pretty much all been done before in some form or another.
Star Trek Picard... Since from outside the galaxy threaten the universe. Discovery season 2. Since from the future come and threaten the entire universe. That feels somewhat recycled almost. Which is crazy.
And isn't that based on a game too? Halo or...
Well, yeah. Yeah. Which is in itself based on Babylon 5 in a sense, which is in itself based on some books and another novel. I mean,
Yep.
This
That's what I mean.
Thing from the past.
That's what I mean. There's only so many ideas out there, right? So,
but this is where, yes, stories repeat, but the characters that make it unique, and the uniqueness, like having them be Andorians, makes it unique to Star Trek, and they little bit of, the Orions especially, they little bit of uniqueness. But having characters that are interesting, we relate to, that's impossible. A measure of man, is he a sentient being? Could just be, is he worthy of recognition? Could be a modern drama, but it's that extra uniqueness that all people bring to it. So as if they can kind of keep that going.
Mm-hmm. Well, 184 likes.
Ooh.
And
30 more super chats. That's 16 likes, 30 more $30 more. Go on, guys. Ooh.
Well, 13 more likes, $30 more is what you wanted, right?
Yes.
Yeah. 16 more likes to get to 200. 16 people haven't hit like. I guarantee it. Hit the like button, guys. And yeah.
And guys, have you had fun? Put in the comments now. Yes, no, F no, meh. But I want those yeses.
Yes, no, maybe so. Let us know.
Maybe no.
Maybe
ho. Ooh. Ho,
and
ho,
Jeff's
ho.
got $2 for us when we get to 200 likes. So 13 more likes and we can get that $2 payday.
You know what? I think though of all the seasons, including Picard, this is the one that the setup episode I would enjoy rewriting the most. Like, you can go so many fun places from here, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Although I'll be honest, I would like imagine if this was Voyager, for some reason. How much more excited would you be if this was the Voyager crew? If 7 of 9 went in a time suit into the future, and then the Voyager came through an episode later. How much more excited would you be week on week? Say season 5 of Voyager happened. This is now 6 and 7. Voyager, that crew.
That would be great. They're trying to get back to the Alpha Quadrant, and it screws up, and they go through time instead.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because that crew is a great crew, and all those actors are really good at what they do. They're never given that much in comparison to what they should be. But that is a great crew. That's annoying because that would be really fun, actually. That'd be really fun. Oh man, I'm so sad now.
ISFJ 1009 Warp 4, Earth to Vulcan in 59 days.
Yep.
Andoria is 39. DS9 is about 226 days away.
Yeah.
Warp 4 would suck. It's still can still do things with Warp 4 though.
Yeah.
Have Warp 4 relays, like where it's like a relay race. You take your ship to a certain point, you hand over your crew,
yep, you meet up,
or your person or your cargo, and then you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You could make it work for sure.
No, you're right. And it becomes a 150-day journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it still sucks, but
it's doable. It's workable.
But it's also not something you do normally. It's something you do. You can do. You will do. But the world becomes smaller. You know.
Eugene throws in 300 rubles.
Yeah.
And Idic for your thoughts. Not dystopian yet, but generic as fuck.
Yeah, except the Discovery Shuttle. That's truly Star Trek unique.
That's Discovery unique, not Star Trek unique. Let's be fair. Tiberius Severus, $2. Enjoy some Timmies on me, Captain Foley. Oh, thank you, Tiberius. Appreciate that. I definitely will use $2 tomorrow to go get a coffee.
And I was thinking the other day.
Or yeah.
Right.
Gotta stop that.
Well, go F yourself with Twinkies. What was he saying?
Timmies.
Yeah. What was it? Oh yeah. Yeah. I was thinking I should, it'd be fun to go to your house at some point, just to go eat some Canadian food. There's so many differences in things and bobs. I know it seems like a small thing, but just maybe go into a store and be like, nothing here is things I have access to ever. We should just do like there should be a live stream one time. It's like a drunk live stream, just like, I've bought 20 products that I've never had that you'll get my first reaction to. What the hell is this shit?
I wouldn't say a drunk. Well, maybe if you can buy all the stuff and bring it. I think it'd be more fun to be out and about doing a live and say, okay, here's 3 choices, guys. What are we going to go to? And you tell us the place, so we go there. Then we show you guys the menu. We say, okay, let us know what we're going to be ordering, and you just try it live.
That's dangerous.
Right?
Dangerous. But man, I didn't mean drunk live so much as like we have some ciders, like gentle, like we're sipping. We're not there to get drunk. We're just there to have like a. But I can imagine it'd be pretty fun, especially as you're right. I like that. Like, there's a list of like 30 items, and the fans pick. I'm just like, what the hell? This is a fried iguana in tomato paste, and you eat this in your school lunches? Right. No. Canada.
Alex the Collector throws in £5.
Thank
a bit
you.
of cash for you guys. Thanks for all the hours of videos on starships. They keep me entertained while driving to work. Nice. Good to know. And a lot of people actually listen to us and not so much watch us, so I appreciate that.
So basically, you like Stuart's script, my delivery, and none of my visuals.
You like his English accent because it's sexy. Just admit it.
It's English fine. And you know it. Pub yards.
Pub yards, yeah, I just saw that one. ISFJ 1009, $5. Captain and Commander, take a drink just for the funds here.
I've literally 1 drop of water left.
I have Jones cane sugar soda, green apple flavor, which is really good.
What is that? That's weird. Guys, we are 10 likes and $8. So actually ahead on dollars to likes. And you guys did do great there. That helped a lot. But yeah, $8, 10 likes. 10 likes. That is free. Click. I want to see. I also want to see 210, to be honest.
Be Cluet. Maple syrup on iguanas. LOL. Yeah. Maple syrup dipped iguanas. That's what we give you here, I guess.
I mean, it sounds just
delightful.
Yeah, that's the word. But do you know what I mean? I think that'd be really, really fun just to have some fun.
All Voyager was just a copy of TNG episodes where they got stranded outside the galaxy.
I mean, no. A little bit, but also no. You know, yeah. I mean, you could argue TNG is a rip-off of TOS, but with more characters.
And nicer sets.
And Star Wars is a rip-off of Star Wars, but with less characters. Or less good storytelling. And Discovery is a rip-off of, you know, I mean, Discovery and Picard and Discovery.
Yeah.
All four of those are all heavily ripped off from other things.
Well, Squadron Course throws in $8, just helping get you to $30. Now back to watching ship rotation videos. Enjoy those and feel better, Squadron Course. Hope you are feeling.
Please do.
And 6 more likes. Can we get 6 more likes?
Yeah.
And the last super chat slot is Squadron Course. That should make him feel better as well. Maybe nobody will snipe him for it, but if you want to, go ahead.
Well earned.
But 6 people haven't hit like. Hit like, guys. Sorry.
So doable. 5 now. And 5 likes. 5 likes. 5 likes. 5 likes. 5 likes. 5 likes. And guys, you know, I'm excited for, you know, we're gonna have a break obviously in Trek new content in 2020. That means the ship content comes back in a storm, and hopefully, you guys will tune in. I mean, you know, we want to see many thousand people watch those videos. We put a lot of time and work into them, and we've got some great stuff in between. Some originals, fan stuff. If you guys would like a ship covered on Trekyards with the attention to detail that we do, that's trekyards@hotmail.com. Say hey. And in fact, we might have to do like not a casting call, but just like a hey guys, I want originals. Let us know. Great time to have them then. You know.
Christopher Beatty, I regret that I have only 1 like to give this channel.
Well, still, glory to you and your house. And
you can give it more likes if you create more accounts. Yes. Although that's not recommended. 4 more likes, guys. We can do it. Jeff Jacobs throws in $2. It all helps, so I will pay on 203 total reactions. Oh, 203 total reactions. Okay. 3 more likes now. 3 more likes. 3 more likes.
And yes, people saying about the Orville's. Yes, I'm very excited for the Orville. Hopefully more comedy than season 2, although I think it'll be more like season 2 and less comedy than season 1.
Yes.
Which is sad to me because it'll lose that Orville-ness and be just more like TNG. But obviously, getting good TNG again is obviously good.
Yes.
Hopefully, you know. But then we have Lower Decks for that. But then it wasn't. Well, it's funny. Both Lower Decks and Orville both lost the funny by the end of the show. Like the funny it started with, you know. Weird.
Yeah. Rock Star South. The most likely scenario: the Federation created the burn, an experiment gone wrong, or something. Maybe trying to double their dilithium stores and it backfired.
I did say it was just an experiment to make more, and then.
Yeah. 1 more like.
Nope.
1.
We did it.
More. Like.
Why you think we did it?
Did we?
201.
Oh, 201. There it is. Yes. Oh, it's down to 200 now.
Well,
somebody's like, nope, no.
Either way, guys, we did it. It started off slow, but I think we absolutely hit the ball, hit the momentum. 170 people watching, which is fantastic. And tomorrow, guys, tune in same time, same place, same live for the predictions, the look at the season trailer, where you'll hear about Hiawatha. You'll hear about that. You will hear about that. Which will be great.
See it too.
And of course, about Earth, lots of things. We'll get a similar debate, but more focused. And then Stuart's live first reaction on Thursday. I know you're going to tune in for that because I certainly will not. I'm not allowed to. But I hope you will tune in. And then I will patiently wait by the phone for Stuart to call saying, are you ready to film yet for Friday? I'm like, dude, just use the face. Why are you calling me, mate?
I never call you. I've never called you. I don't even start.
You have.
Oh, I have.
I can't
yes,
call
I have.
you. For some reason, you can call me.
You can't call me. I can call you, but I can't text you.
And I can text you.
But you can text me. That makes no fucking sense.
It is, yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah, and since you have unlimited internet around the world, that also doesn't help. Unless I get a Wi-Fi, then it's fine.
Yes. Tiberius Severus puts in $5.
Oh.
Has Trekyards ever covered any of the fan design ships from Hidden
Ooh.
Frontier? I would love to see your input on the USS Helena or that class of ship.
Ooh, you, sir, are going to have a brilliant 2021 with us. I'll just say that. You're looking for a really good time. So stay subscribed, or subscribe right now. As you can imagine, 23 weeks of dedicated content kind of takes out half of the year for normal ship videos. Great, but yes, 2021. I'm not saying yes.
Lots of scripts written, lots of scripts filmed,
Yeah.
lots to come up. So just be patient, guys.
Yes, expect some time travel from Trekyards.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, that being said, I think that's it.
Yes.
Tiberius, you got the last super chat slot.
Well deserved. Good question.
So, anyway, guys, I think we'll call it there, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
Oh. Till then, here's Captain Foley.
He is. I am. And he is some British guy.
He is. I am. Bye, guys.
That's him.